Hey, I'm Shravan Lakan, and you're listening to 7 Steps to Smile. I want to live in a world where everybody is doing their very best to show up for themselves and the people around them all the time. That doesn't mean that you're working at 100% all the time. That just means you're showing up as often as you can. And that's important. That's an important distinction to make because we are not working on 100% all the time. We don't have a battery that is fully charged all the time. Sometimes we have low capacity days. And that's what I'm speaking about today. Some days you wake up and you can already tell today is not a high capacity day. But you still care. You still have standards. It's just that the energy or the focus or the emotional bandwidth just isn't there. This episode is not about pushing through that feeling. It's not about excusing yourself from everything. It's about staying honest on the days when your resources are limited. Low capacity does not mean low commitment. That's something that a lot of us get wrong. It just means that you're working with fewer tools today. So now that I've told you something that a lot of us get wrong, I'm going to tell you something else that a lot of us get wrong. And that's our reaction to having these low capacity days. We have two common reactions, and I've had both of them. The first is when we disguise self-betrayal as rest. Now, rest is important. When you're tired, when you're burnt out, you need to rest. At that point, rest becomes productive. Taking care of yourself and making sure that you can show up for yourself as best as possible the next day is an important thing to remember, and it's an important thing to practice. You need to rest. That's where the growth happens. But the issue that I'm speaking about is when you shirk your responsibilities, when you disappear from your commitments and you stop showing up for yourself. You stop doing the bare minimum. And that's when you betray yourself. And calling it rest is the problem. That is the main danger, is when you start reframing something that is unhelpful, unproductive, and self-destructive, really, as something that is healthy and something that is healing and resting and productive and helpful. That reframe is what I'm getting at, because then you start justifying not showing up for yourself, and it becomes easier to do. The second reaction is the opposite, I'd say. It's self-punishment disguised as discipline. Now, I know the fear of falling into complacency. I know the fear of not doing enough and being okay with it. And that's a scary place to be in, because that's a place where you don't really trust yourself to follow through. This is at the core of this reaction of punishing yourself and calling it discipline, or forcing your output when your nervous system can't support it and saying that you're being disciplined. What you're really doing is ignoring reality. And that's why it breaks your trust, because maybe you'll feel good about it, but the next day you won't be at 100%. And the task that you're doing now, you won't do it to the best of your ability because you don't have the capacity in that moment to do it to the best of your ability. Both of these reactions break trust. Like I said, punishing yourself and calling it discipline ignores reality. But the first one, betraying yourself and calling it rest, it avoids responsibility. And you know what you're doing when you're doing it. It's just easier to try and convince yourself something else. The reframe that we need in these moments is that your capacity isn't a moral issue. Having low capacity does not mean that you're lazy. That is something that we need to drive home, because that's something that I deal with on a regular basis when I'm tired and I feel like I'm not doing enough, or when I'm busy and I feel like I'm not showing up for myself. And you realize that we're human. Sometimes we have days where we have to focus on other things. We have functions and we have events and we have to show up for our family, and we might not be able to show up for our work, our professional career lives, or our education and academics. We might not be able to put as much effort into those things in those days as compared to others. And that's okay. This low capacity is just a condition that arises on a certain day because of the work that you've been doing, because of the mental resources that you've been pulling on to get things done. It's just the condition of these past events that you have to account for now. Treating low capacity like some character flaw just makes tomorrow so much harder, and it has this ripple domino effect that is hard to catch on later on, but it's easy to stop. It's simple to stop. It's not all that easy. It's simple to stop if you know how. And that's what I'm doing today. I'm trying to give you the tools to recognize and to implement so that we can stop punishing ourselves and we can stop shirking responsibility and getting in our heads about just not being up for it in certain days, so that we can show up better on others. But what does that mean? What does showing up actually mean on these days when we're at low capacity? I want to introduce an idea to you of the minimum honest effort. Not the bare minimum to feel good, it's the minimum that keeps you in a feeling of integrity, of, hey, I've done enough today. It's a question, and your answer to this question is what your minimum honest effort looks like. The core question is, what can I do today that future me won't have to clean up? That's it. It's continuity. That's what it's about. You're not trying to win the day. You're not trying to have the most intensity over what you're doing. You're not trying to disappear from your life. You're trying to do something for future you today. You're trying to plan something to go a little bit easier for the future version of yourself. Showing up doesn't always look impressive. Sometimes it just looks consistent, and that's enough. So yes, it's good to have a benchmark of what showing up on these days looks like. But how do you know you're having a low capacity day? How do you know you're in that moment when you're in it? Because often we only recognize the situations and the moments that we're in after the fact. How do we pinpoint when we're in the moment as we're experiencing it? It's the difference between listening to yourself and letting yourself off. It's the difference between self-compassion and self-criticism. Both are good in varying amounts, in varying circumstances. Generally explore this internal dialogue. Is it that you don't have it in you today? Is that what the problem is? Or is it that you don't want to feel uncomfortable? Because that's a whole other issue. We all want to be the type of people who are okay with discomfort, with the discomfort of growth, of the discomfort of doing more. We want to be those type of people. We don't want to be the type of people that let ourselves off. And that's why it's so difficult to find this line between I don't have it in me today and I don't want to feel uncomfortable. Because we want to be the one type of person, and sometimes we're pulled towards being the other. This is about offering yourself a reality check without the judgment. So it takes away the problem of I don't want to be this type of person, because you're not judging yourself for feeling a certain way. Your emotions are real, and that's what's important. Wanting comfort is a normal human feeling. It's part of our design, right? We want to feel comfortable. So these emotions that you're feeling are real, but they're not instructions. You're not being forced one way or the other. You can feel what you're feeling, you can think what you're thinking, and you can still make your own decisions. You need to encourage yourself to be honest over being comfortable. Sometimes rest is the right move. Often rest is the right move, because if you're doing enough, you're going to get tired. But sometimes action is the kindness that you need to show yourself in a certain moment. Self-compassion isn't about you avoiding discomfort. It's actually choosing the discomfort that moves you forward. So now that we have the idea, we know how to recognize when we're in the moment of low capacity. We know how to start thinking about it in a different way that removes this moral problem of I'm being lazy or I'm being the type of person that favors comfort over progress. How do we take this idea and put it into practice? I'm going to show you a very simple but not incredibly easy to implement strategy. It's easy if you're committed to it and you do it consistently, but that in itself can be difficult. So it's this 3-tier low capacity check that you can do. It's a simple mental tool that you can use on the day itself when you recognize this feeling. The first tier 1 is to protect the basics: sleep, food, water, movement. That's it. Make sure that you are functioning as a normal human being. Okay? Don't optimize, just maintain the basics, the ground level, your foundation. Yes, okay, you've got your sleep in, you've got your food, you've got your 3 meals a day, your macros, whatever that is. Some people do 2 meals a day. You've got your 8 glasses of water, and you've gone for a walk, or you've gone to the gym. Whatever movement looks like for you, that's your tier 1 done. Tier 2 is now your one meaningful action. Now that's a little bit more difficult for me to outline what that looks like for you, because it's supposed to align with your values, with your long-term goals. If you're a student, maybe that looks like studying one chapter or reading one chapter. It also depends on how you're feeling on that day. Not feeling in the sense of your emotions, but feeling in the sense of your resources. What can you actually realistically expect yourself to do on that day, in that moment, with whatever you have available to you? So it's the one task that aligns with your values, that is corresponding to your capacity in that moment, and it's small enough not to overwhelm you, but real enough to matter. Tier 3 is something that removes future friction. Friction is important because you can put it in place to stop yourself from doing something that you don't want to do, and you can remove it to encourage yourself to do things that you want to do. If you want to stop eating junk food, you can put the cookies on a higher shelf. If you want to start waking up earlier, you can put the phone further away from your bed so that you have to get up in order to put the alarm off. Whatever you do, these small little nudges start removing friction. So tier 3 is to prepare something for tomorrow so that you make it easier for yourself to show up. And in doing so, you are showing up for yourself today, for tomorrow, if that makes sense. It's laying something out. It's maybe getting the gym clothes and having them packed, having your bag packed. It might even be going to sleep in your gym clothes so that you wake up and you're already dressed and you just have to get out the door, and that's basically your workout done, because once you're out the door, you're in the car, you're in the gym, you're smashing your sets, whatever it is. Maybe it's writing one sentence. In the case of people that want to journal more, or maybe it's writing out one sentence of what you want to do tomorrow, that one big task that you want to get done. Sending one message to somebody that you want to keep in contact with, or an accountability buddy. Whatever it is, prepare something for tomorrow. On low capacity days, maintenance is progress. There's a reason I'm talking about this and I'm having this episode, and it's because these days matter. These low capacity days matter much more than we think. We like to emphasize the high energy, high focus, productive, happy, healthy days where we get a lot done and we feel good about ourselves and we feel focused. We spend time with the people we care about. We get in activities and work and everything just feels balanced and it's an amazing day. High energy days are easy to romanticize. Low capacity days test who you are without the momentum. Who are you when nobody's watching and you feel not amazing? You don't feel great. This is where your trust is built, not when it's easy, when you don't disappear from yourself. When you raise the bar on what a low capacity day looks like for yourself, you're also raising the bar on what a high capacity day looks like, because you're taking what your bare minimum is and you're increasing it so that you can do more with less. So that means that when you have more, you can do even more. This starts with acknowledging cycles. Cycles of your effort. That's something that cycles. It goes through ups and downs. When that starts coming down, when you feel that collapse, you go into a recovery mode. And over time, you start seeing these waves, but these waves have an upward trend. It's almost like a tilted sine graph if you can picture that. Anyone can show up when it feels good, but your trust is built slowly when it doesn't. Those low troughs start getting higher and higher and higher, and with that, the peaks start getting higher and higher and higher as well in return. And over time, you start seeing a shift. You still have those low capacity days, you still have the downs, but your downs in the future will be a lot higher than your downs are today. And your ups in the future will be a lot higher than where your ups are today. And that's what we all want. That's what we're all looking for, right? I want to leave you with permission and responsibility from this episode. You are entitled to have low capacity days. You are allowed to have low capacity days because you are human. But you have a responsibility with this right. You are not allowed to abandon yourself because of them. You are responsible to yourself. You are responsible to show up. Do what you can today honestly, then stop. And that counts. Stay in the game. Even if today you're just sitting on the sidelines tying your shoes, do something small to show up for yourself today, and I'll see you next week.